Are we married or just running a business? Hi everybody, we are Mike and Brenda Baker, and today we are talking about when your marriage feels more like a business than a covenant.
Okay, so one thing that we consistently tell married couples is that although transactions can happen in a marriage is not transactional. Transactions are business related. Now, they're not always 100% business related, but in nature, they are business related. Hey, can you take out the garbage while I fix dinner? Hey, those are transactions that happen within the marriage, but once again, the marriage is not transactional. So we're talking about emotional connection in marriage, we're talking about teamwork in marriage, and we're talking about covenant versus contract. Now, okay, this is the unpopular opinion. Prenups are dumb. Sorry. If you need a prenup, don't get married. Like, no joke. I mean, do I not understand the point of a prenup? I actually do understand the point of a prenup. I understand that it's to protect somebody who's built something in case you bail, in case you ditch. And why do they have to protect themselves from you? If they feel the need to protect themselves from you potentially, that's not a relationship. That has now become a contract. So if you break our contract, is what they're saying, then I get these things. Now it's become business before you've even given vows.
Right, and emotional connection is so important when it comes to how you deal with your spouse, especially when there are problems. And we've seen a lot of people have issues with one wanting this and the other wanting that when it comes to the kids. And these things can cause you to be separate because you both have a different opinion, especially if it's your children that are being talked about, right? And so make sure that you guys are together on your parenting. You don't always have to agree. However, don't disagree in front of the kids, because in a blended family, those things just cause the kids to go rogue on you really, really quickly. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, and we're getting to the teamwork part, but
Oh.
Part of the problem is that, and we've talked about this a little bit. Way back in the day, little Johnny and little Katie were with mom and dad on the ranch or the farm, right?
Yeah.
And then it hit the industrial age, and dad got, here's your word for that, extrapolated from the home. Okay, and then we move on, and eventually mom's removed from the home. And then we move on, and eventually you get the latchkey kids. That was us. Okay, so, and then you move on, and Gen X totally did too much for the millennials. And millennials then moved into gentle parenting. And so you've got all of these things that cause all of this strife. And the whole idea is breakdown of the family. So why is it being looked at like a business now? Well, that's why. Satan is no dummy. From the very beginning, his idea was to strip it down to its bare bones, to make it look like something that wasn't even necessary when it's God ordained and absolutely necessary. So if he can get you to look at to look at your marriage like a business, businesses fail all the time. What's the big deal, right? Well, I'm just going to claim bankruptcy, I guess. That's a business, right? Instead of a covenant. A covenant is not a contract. A covenant is deep, and it's with God himself. The three of you stood there and made vows. And I would encourage you to go look up the term vow and exactly what it means from the biblical perspective. It's a heavy, heavy word. It's thrown around like nothing now. Oh, vows, what's the big deal? No, vow is a huge word in Scripture. And so if you continue to look at it like a contract, like a business, then why wouldn't it fail? I mean, not that you can't have a successful business and a successful marriage. The point is they may have similarities, but that does not make them alike. All right. So, do you have something you want to add there? Okay.
No.
So getting into that, the reason I say that is because we're going to talk about drifts in the marriage. So, so many people think that when problems arise and there's a big disagreement or there's a big separation of thought, which just means you drift this way, you drift that way because the kids are in sports, you're over here, they're over there. All right. that, oh, this must be the beginning of the end. That is nothing but silly talk, all right? That's you looking for an easier answer. Okay?
Yeah.
That's you looking for the door because you don't like that it's not happy all the time. Well, you said for better, for worse, richer and poorer, sickness and in health. This is what that is. This is part of that. So when we hit drifts in our marriage? Absolutely, we've hit drifts. Times when we couldn't agree on things. Times, and if you go back to our other videos, we've talked about a lot of those.
Yep.
All right. But the answer is always the same answer. You have to choose each other every day. You have to choose your marriage. You have to choose that your marriage is going to come first. You have to choose that that person is going to come first because you made a vow that said, I will choose you before all others on this planet. Okay? And so this idea that drifts can't be managed, or at the beginning of the end, it's nonsense. It's just a problem that you got to give it a big old hug. It's, I think Mel Gibson calls it hugging the cactus. When I was in the military, it was like, Sergeant Baker, you got to give this a big old hug and just move through it. And I hated that term, but it's true. I've told the boys repeat it. I have apprentices that still repeat it to me. So you got to give it a big old hug. You have something you want to add?
No.
I must be doing okay. It must be my shirt.
Yeah, it's a good shirt, right?
See, I've had this shirt for a long time, and today was your day to get to see it.
We kind of clashed, though.
Not really.
We didn't really look at
Black
that.
goes with everything. See, but people are looking at me anyway.
That's true. That's true.
There you go. Anyway,
Look at him.
So moving on then to, actually no, I'm going to back up for a second. I want to be completely transparent so that you guys just don't think that we're perfect after 30 years. We are not perfect. We have, may I bring this up?
Yeah.
Okay. We have our 30-year anniversary coming up September 11th. She always says it was a good day before it was a bad day. So,
It was.
Yes, it was. So we had different ideas about the trip we need to take for our 30th. And it's already caused 2 huge fights. I'm not going to sit here and...
it's silly.
No,
What?
it's not. No. It's,
It is silly.
Okay, no. I want to... Listen, I know you guys have fights, and this fight in the long run is probably silly, but it's not really silly because every time you have a fight like this, you're establishing who you are today. Because are you the same person you were when we got married?
No.
And thank God I'm not the same person I was when we got
like
married.
you.
I know, but the whole point is that you change. Things change. And when you took your vows, you basically said, I will move with your change, and I expect you to move with mine. Now, that doesn't mean it's always going to be neat and tidy. No, that means that sometimes it's going to be messy, and there's going to be yelling, and there's going to be hurt feelings. And have we rectified it yet?
Nope.
No. Are we going to have any more fights about it? I don't
Nope.
think so. I think we've hit a point where it's like, all right, she understands where I'm coming from. I understand where she's coming from, and we're going to make this happen because 30 years is nothing to scoff at. Okay? I don't want my wife to look back and wish we had done more. That's not at all what I want, but we'll make it through. That was one of our small drifts. They happened. Go ahead.
Well, and men, you really need to have a lot of patience with your wives when they're going through perimenopause and menopause. Sometimes I feel like a crazy person, and I'm not, but I get so upset so quickly. So please educate yourself before your wife starts going through that. Because even if your wife has had a hysterectomy, her body will naturally take her through perimenopause all over again when she's in her 50s.
Yeah.
So please educate yourselves because Mike has been a saint. He has helped me because I don't want to research all the things. I just want to feel better. And we kind of went over some of this in the perimenopause and menopause video, but
Yeah.
he's helped me because I don't want to go to the doctor. I don't want to get on synthetic hormones. I'm just not willing to do that. And I react badly to things. So it may seem like I'm off the whole topic of this, but I really want to say that Mike has, with my ups and downs, has done a good job helping to center me. And another thing, when it comes to your drift, remember, you guys are typically going to be absolute opposites. That's what attracted you. Mm-hmm. But as you get further and further into marriage, it feels like I don't know, does you say how you feel about it, but it feels like for a woman that you're no longer in love. which is not the truth at all. Instead of letting Satan have those thoughts, ladies, put them out. Push them out. They come in, they go out. You don't have to control them. It's okay if you have negative thinking like that for a second. Don't let it get root. Just let it go. That is not something that you want, correct? You're here at this video so that we can help you to learn how to do whatever it is that's going wrong in your marriage. And we do, in our Blended Family Momentum Accelerator, we do give more tips on how to do, those things. So I highly suggest you get that as soon as it comes out.
So
there's a lot there.
Not to plug, yeah. I mean, we're running right into teamwork here.
Yeah.
Just so those of you know, husbands have to be super careful. I'm not going to sit here and say I haven't yelled at her. She has said some things that I have. She said some things that, I'll be honest, I've completely lost my mind on. It's like, I cannot believe you just said that to me. And so it doesn't mean, she might make it sound like I'm great all the time. My goal is always to understand how she feels and what's going on. And when your wife says something to you that is nothing you ever expected, unhinged, your natural reaction is, excuse me?
You guys.
And you respond. So what I'm asking you to do is pull back a little bit. I'm not saying don't get mad, all right? Because it's natural to get upset when somebody says something to you that's cutting, or I'm just saying remember where it's coming from. And for those of you who don't know, I am currently working on an ebook. And the ebook won't just be for the older folks. It's actually going to be for the younger folks too, so that they have an idea what to expect. And it's basically perimenopause to prostate. All right? And no joke, you can't study one without studying them both. All right? So the ebook's coming. I'm working on it. Anyway, moving into number 2, which is teamwork. And Brenda alluded to it a little bit before. So teamwork in the marriage helps your kids feel secure. And you might be like, why? Well, back in the 80s, we had this word that we used all the time. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called consistency. I know it doesn't get thrown around a lot anymore. I know people are like, what is that? I don't know. When I was in Iraq, I told you guys, I asked my interpreters to teach me the word for share in Arabic so I could tell these kids we were giving toys to share. And my interpreter looked me straight in the face and said, here's the word, and he had me repeat it. And he said, but don't be surprised if they don't know what it is. And I said, what? Isn't it Arabic? He says, yes, but nobody teaches them the word share.
Yeah.
They have no clue. They have no clue what that means. So with that, all right, consistency. So when your kids see you're consistent, consistency means that they get the same result every time something either good or dumb is done. But consistency also means that they get the same response from both of you, not one of you. In different ways. If you talk to, our sons are always saying this. They'll ask Brenda a question. And then they'll ask me the same question. And Brenda and I won't have talk between it. And they say the same thing invariably every time. Oh, that's exactly what Mom said. Or they'll ask it the other way and they'll be like, oh, that's exactly what Dad said. They know that they're going to get exactly the same response because we are consistent. We are on board. We taught them that this is what our response would be. And even though they ask still, they know they're not surprised. All right, so they know that when they come to us, that we're not just going to waffle. We're not just going to suddenly change our minds. And if we have something major we change our minds on, the first thing we do is we talk to all the boys and say, hey, I know this is what I said in the past, but I'm changing that. I have new information, so it's not necessarily that way anymore. I had some scriptural things that I taught them growing up that I didn't feel was correct. And as adults, I'm not telling them you have to think this now. I just simply say, my thoughts on this have changed. This is why. So if you hear me say that, don't be surprised, because I know that's not what I taught you growing up. So teamwork. Teamwork will help even the most difficult bio or step kid. Because even though they may not like you and they want to just spit in your food and the whole 9 yards, you being consistent with each other and with them will still help because they'll know what to expect.
Yeah.
And as much as they will try to derail you,
And they
you
will.
must grasp onto consistency even harder so that they know this is no joke.
And this is especially important. It is important for all the kids, but if you have a strong-willed child, please be consistent, or that child is going to walk right over you. Okay? We have a strong-willed child, and it's funny now because he has kids, and
He's an excellent adult,
yeah, he is.
but he was a difficult child.
Yeah, but it's so interesting, and I think that if we would not have been as on board with each other as we were, I don't think he would have turned out as well. I mean, you know, he's a good dad. He does very good things. He's still very strong-willed, but he came from me, so
Yeah, but he moves that in a positive direction.
he does.
Yeah.
He really does.
He's
So,
able to stand firm when a lot of guys won't.
Yep.
So
And so, you know, your strong-willed child can become your best blessing. I mean, my mom used to always tell me the wildest horses or the wildest colts can become the best horses. And it's very true in the animal world, as we've learned. You know, a lot of those spirited animals, they are your ride or dies. So, you know, again, I kind of got off the rails there, but I can't even tell you how much when we watch younger parents now, it is crazy how
It's
few
difficult.
of them say no and then say no again and then say it a third time and a fourth time. And the reason that your children are not listening to you is because the first time didn't matter, because you did nothing.
And if the first time doesn't matter, why does the second, third, or fourth?
Yeah. I mean, I heard somebody at the store the other day count to 10. That's stupid. Okay, sorry. If you agree with that, well, you'll find out when they're teenagers
Yeah.
and young adults how difficult that whole thing, how much harder you made things. And moms, if you're a stay-at-home mom especially, you have got to make your words matter. Because your husband does not have the time in his day to field 8 phone calls from you because Johnny won't listen, or Jimmy, or fill in the word, fill in the name. He also should not get bombarded at the door when your children aren't listening because you're not making sure that they're listening. It is up to you, moms, stay-at-home moms. It is up to you.
Yes. So that brings us to number 3. Why fixing your marriage starts with fixing your mindset. I don't think we can talk about mindset enough, to be perfectly honest, because if your mindset about the marriage is crappy, you're going to parent crappy. That's just the way it is. If
You're
your
gonna
mind,
spouse crappy too.
yeah, exactly. And if you've got a bad mindset about your spouse, you're going to treat them poorly, and you're going to teach your kids to treat them poorly. This whole idea that we talk to each other like that when the kids aren't around. Yeah, okay. If you think your kids don't know that there's something up, that there are problems between mom and dad, think again. That is, you're delusional if you think the kids aren't paying attention. They may act like they're not paying attention, but they're paying attention. They may have their headphones in. I'd say 3/4 of the time those headphones have no music going.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're just listening to you. So
They're getting all the dirt.
and now you're all like, what? Yeah, no joke. We
It's
knew kids when the buds started coming out. What are you listening to? Nothing. Or they make something up, and I'd be like, oh, let me listen. Nothing there. Uh-huh. So the point is your mindset matters. Okay, so when I tell you guys that you have to choose each other every day, that's a mindset thing. You have to wake up, and no matter how irritated, how happy, how frustrated, take your pick, today I choose my spouse. Because when you choose your spouse, you're actually choosing your family. Because choosing your spouse teaches your kids what marriage looks like on the positive trail. I say things about this a lot, but it's interesting to me. How many parents want to come at us because we say marriage comes first, spouses come first? That goes in blended families too. Sorry. Well, what about the bio kids? No, no. You know who makes that messy? You do. You make that messy. You got married. You made this. You took exactly the same vows. You made exactly the same promises to this person that you made to the bio dad or mom on the other time. These do not become any less of a vow because now there are bio and stepkids involved. You must choose your spouse. The old spouse is gone. And I'm not saying be bitter and I'm not saying all that. Your walls are your walls. Your mindset matters. You must treat that man or that woman like they are exactly what they are in that house. Meaning that if it's the mom, she holds the office of mom, like we've talked about before. And if it's the dad, he holds the office of dad. And you two are the most important. This does not promote neglect. And any of you who claim God, let me be very blunt. Any of you who claim God and say the child should always come first, you better open a Bible, because that is not what it says. What it says is, in the beginning was Adam and Eve, and it was good. No children. There were no children at the creation, and yet the world was complete. And the world would be complete without your little special Johnny later down the line, okay? The only person that truly cares about your kids outside of God himself is you. It's not that I don't care about the neighbor's kids, but they're not my kids. All right? My grandkids, I care about them a lot, but they're not my kids. All right? I have told my boys, because it's very important to me as a father, that when I go back and see them, that I am there to see them first and their kids second.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I say that? A lot of you guys get too wrapped around the axle about your grandkids, and that's why there's problems. I always go to see my sons first before I see my grandkids. Now, does that mean
and
I'm
their wives?
Yes.
And their wives.
Oh, yes. No, I very much treat the wives like they're our daughters. And so I always, the first person, a lot of times the boys aren't there yet. They're still at work when I get there.
That's true.
And so I walk, first person I typically, unless I get bombarded at the door, that's a different deal. First person I typically go give a hug is the daughter-in-law. Because I want her to know I am there for her first.
Yeah.
How is she doing? I know how the kids are doing. I can see. Okay. But I want to make sure, and the grandkids all know that.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a secret. And then I see the grandkids. Now, am I neglecting the grandkids because I passed by them to say hi to the people that are first in my life? No. First person in my life is my wife. She always gets. So if I come in, there have been times when she's been there already and I have to come a couple days later. First person I say something to is my wife. Next people I say something to are my kids and their wives. Then I see the grandkids. And you know what? Nobody's neglected. Nobody goes without. Nobody doesn't eat. Nobody dies. No feelings are hurt. They all understand that is the progression. And you guys need to get over yourselves with if this is you, please, if this is you with this whole my kids will always come first, then don't, okay, I want you to explain that to God. When it comes to J-Day and you're sitting there explaining to him why you put your spouse away when he said your spouse comes first, because he did say it. Anyway, rant over. Mindset. Your mindset on that matters.
Yeah, and your mindset on whether or not your marriage is a business or a partnership is up to you as well. Yes. And so we always are going to encourage you to be the best that you can be for your spouse. It's your job to fix your attitude and your thinking, not your spouse's. Now, spouses, don't take this video and say, see, they told you. Mike said, when we used to do all sorts of one-on-one individual, couples things, we had so many wives say that to their husbands. Well, Mike said...
We had to make a rule.
Yeah.
We had to make a rule every time we sat down to counsel a couple. I still do it, by the way.
Yeah.
Anytime we sit down and counsel a couple, rule number one for both of them, you may never look at the other one and say, well, Mike said. It happens so much. But, sorry.
Yeah. Well, and if you're not following us on Facebook, we do have the Blended Family Momentum on there as well. But I'll be sharing more about this specific point. I have a story that I tell. I think it's this coming week. So I've been scheduling all sorts of stuff on there, so I can't remember exactly. But yeah, fixing your marriage starts with you. So, anything
That's
else?
it. No.
All right. So, with that, we thank you so very much for being here today. Don't settle for being business partners. Make your marriage, this marriage, be your last and best marriage. With that, we're going to see you later. Thanks for being here. Bye.